characterizes an individual who has distinguished themselves via the application and use of scientific research and knowledge to inform evidence-based decisions for public policy and regulations. The committee selected Dr. Gregory Smallwood, Principal Research Officer at the National Research Council of Canada, for his work on international climate change-related policy, which comes at a critical time in efforts to achieve global policy agreements to reduce overall greenhouse gas emissions. His science to policy advocacy has had a dramatically positive impact on reducing global transportation-related black carbon and other practical matters that are key drivers of climate change and adverse health effects. In particular, his sustained and creative policy advocacy has resulted in one of the most significant changes to global aircraft engine emission standards since the 1980s. Congratulations to Dr. Smallwood. He cannot be here with us tonight, but we have a recording where he will be accepting his award.
Good evening, distinguished audience, in particular members of the Canadian Science Policy Centre. I am deeply honored and humbled to have been selected as the first recipient of the CSPC Trailblazer Award in Science Policy in the new Science for Policy category. The CSPC represents the pinnacle of science and innovation policy in Canada and is recognized globally. This important award is the highest distinction I have earned in a long and productive career. There are many people working on science for policy who should be recognized, and I am hopeful the light will shine on them in future years. I thank the CSPC for considering my work worthy of this award. I've been fortunate to be able to take a holistic approach to my research, taking it from lab bench innovation to international regulation. The principal success was in the development of a technique to measure black carbon, a nanoparticle aerosol emitted by hydrocarbon combustion. It is a strong agent for climate change, affects local air quality, and is implicated in adverse health effects. Actions to reduce black carbon have synergistic benefits in all three areas: climate, environment, and human health. In the Metrology Research Centre, I learned the characteristics of the complete metrologist, which means going beyond thinking as a scientific expert to having a client focus, being a diplomat with international awareness, being professional, and most of all, being helpful to ensure that we explain our work so that those around us understand it. These are also essential tenets for bridging the science policy interface. In order to take this laboratory innovation forward all the way to regulation, I was fortunate to be surrounded by a strong team at the National Research Council and to be supported by so many external collaborators, scientists, engineers, policymakers, regulators, from academia, industry, and government. There are far too many to name, but there are some specific people that I must mention who shared the path with me throughout the years. First and foremost are my wife and family, who never once complained about the lengthy days in the lab, endless travel to field measurement campaigns, and to meetings to persuade the international community to complete this aircraft emissions certification requirement, the first new one in over 4 decades. For their unwavering support to research excellence, I am so appreciative of the leadership at the NRC, which has continued to invest in its scientists and create the greatest opportunity possible for researchers to succeed, not only in terms of technical development, but also in innovation for the public good. It is in this latter space that science for policy can thrive. I was fortunate to have had 2 early career mentors at the National Research Council, whose guidance in those formative years was essential: Dr. Dave Snelling and Dr. Omer Goulder. I cannot express how much having their input meant to me. While I've had many external collaborators and supporters, I must mention Wendy Bailey at Transport Canada. She was the one who connected my scientific research to the regulatory community, opening the door for me as a technical delegate to the International Civil Aviation Organization, a United Nations specialized agency where emissions certification requirements for aircraft are produced. All through this adventure, I was able to engage with Canadian and international policymakers who taught me so much about the considerations that go into drafting effective and accepted policy. It is not enough to have a technically sufficient or even superior approach. There are so many other factors that must be considered. The regulatory requirement must be written with precision yet be concise and understandable. Translating scientific jargon to understandable policy requires cooperation and effective communication from both sides. This is a lesson I have learned and carry with me every day. I have one message for my scientific colleagues. In order for your research to have impact, you must make all the effort you can to reach beyond your everyday science community to communicate it to the broader communities, including policy, in terms that all can understand. Once again, thank you for recognizing my contributions to a broad international effort and for bestowing the Trailblazer Award in Science Policy, Science for Policy, on me.